Welcome to the Town Board Workshop, Thursday, July 6, 2023. I make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelard? And let the record reflect that Councilman Gutierrez is absent at the moment.
Okay, welcome to the Town Board Workshop. Please rise and salute the flag.
Coming out of executive session. Prody?
Yes.
And who's seconding?
Second.
Damien. Thank you, Damien. Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle, Gutierrez?
Yes.
Aye.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelard. And now we can start our wonderful meeting. Okay, thanks.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Emergency exits are to my right behind the town clerk and also the door you came in. Roll, please.
Supervisor Prody?
Here.
Councilpersons Doyle? Here. Gutierrez?
Here.
Blackman?
Here.
Revelard.
Here.
And the first item on the agenda is the Dutchess Land Conservancy presentation.
Okay, thank you so much for having us here tonight. Can you all hear me through the mic? Is that okay? Okay. All right, I am Erin Hoagland. I'm the Director of Conservation with the Dutchess Land Conservancy, and we're here tonight to talk about an application that the DLC is making to the New York State Department of Ag and Markets to fund the purchase of development rights to protect the property owned by Michael Levin and 10 Mile River Farm, located on Leedsville Road at the eastern edge of Amenia. If you can see my map here, it's the property shown in hashed blue. And all of the other properties in dark blue are DLC protected conservation easements and other protected lands government owned and by other organizations. So the property is home to Laurelbrook Farm, which is a dairy operation run by the Jacquier family out of East Canaan, Connecticut, and their farm operation is the basis for our application to New York State. One of the application requirements is for the land trust to obtain a letter of endorsement from the municipality demonstrating local support for farmland protection. I did provide that letter in advance for review, and some of you may remember that we were here some years ago requesting similar letters for the Deerhaven Dairy at Glendale Farm and the Miley Farm properties, which the town board provided at that time. I have to apologize because my letter did make reference to the 2007 comprehensive plan, and thanks to Ian for pointing that out, that you have a 2023 comprehensive plan. So I actually did make an update to correct that and sent that over in advance of the meeting. And we just draft that up to save you time. If you have changes or edits, you're more than welcome to make those as you see fit. Just to clarify, we are actually making 2 applications to New York State to make up the entire farm property. So it will be one application on the 320 acres on the west side of Leedsville Road, shown in yellow here, and then a second application on the 25 acres on the east side of Leedsville Road, shown in black on the
Could you
map.
just point to that on the previous map?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So it's a little bit hard to see because of the scale, but essentially the 320 acres, which is one application, is this side.
Oh, okay.
Portion, and the little sort of
Okay,
mountain,
got
and
it.
then 25 acres on the east side. And the reason for that is really just to, we have to do a bit of strategizing to meet certain criteria of the state program under different categories for the farmland protection that they're looking to achieve. So that's the purpose of the 2 applications. So the property has been leased by Laurelbrook Farm since 1997, and Laurelbrook has been run by the same family, the Jacquier family, for the last 75 years, and it's now entering its 4th generation of ownership and management. The family's home farm in East Canaan is made up of 1,400 milking cows producing over 130,000 pounds of milk per day, which is sold to Agrimark and Cabot Creamery for processing. However, their Connecticut land base doesn't support the young stock needed for the operation, which is why their long-term use of the Levin property is critical as support land for their operation, and they house almost 300 heifers on the Levin's property. They also utilize the open fields, as you can see here, to grow corn and hay, all of which is used for feed for their herd. And the conservation easement, so it'll essentially be, again, 2 applications, 2 separate conservation easements. Each easement will extinguish subdivision rights, so the 320 acres will be one farm, 25 acres will be another farm, essentially in perpetuity, held by the DLC. Not the ownership, just the conservation easement. So the property has really impressive natural resources. It's a little bit hard to see on the map, but there is almost 2 miles of frontage on the Weebatuck Creek, as well as frontage on the Mill Brook and tributaries to the Weebatuck. It has almost 100 acres of 100-year floodplain, and it also overlies aquifer recharge area. A majority of the property contains prime and statewide important farmland soils, which you can see here. The prime are brown and statewide important are yellow. So this is really impressive coverage. The state loves to fund projects that have great agricultural soils because it contributes to overall agricultural viability of the land into the future. And protection of agricultural land and open space does align with the town's goals. The comprehensive plan identifies agriculture as a distinguishing feature of Amenia, responsible for much of its rural beauty and bucolic charm. Farming also is identified as adding economic value not only in the form of jobs and products, but also in contributing to the appeal, beauty, and property values of the town as a whole. It's also said to be the single most important and easily lost feature that distinguishes Amenia's landscape as a rural community. And the comprehensive plan also encourages the use of conservation easements to protect farmland through the purchase of development rights. The property itself also falls within a number of special overlay zones in the town, so it falls within the priority farmland area identified in the comprehensive plan, as well as within the stream buffer corridor, the aquifer protection overlay, floodplain overlay, and scenic protection overlay in the town zoning, and of course not the entire property, but portions of the property for each overlay. So we truly feel like this property is worthy of the effort of protection that would benefit Amenia, and we hope you do too. I don't know if you have any questions. Thanks again for your time and consideration.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
You mentioned that it's in the 10-mile river watershed.
Yes. Entirely within.
Is there more information on that, how this might impact it? I mean, it's been farming forever anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely, so, you know, yep, inactive agricultural use, so that's definitely a consideration for, you know, water quality. The Weebatuck Creek runs through it. That's obviously a tributary to the 10-mile river, eventually Housatonic River out to the Long Island Sound. I mean, there are some wooded buffers along the Weebatuck and kind of riparian areas that do exist. And, you know, I think farmland is one impact on water, but so is development. And I think, you know, we always acknowledge that farmland is so incredibly open and flat and has well-drained soils. It's so suitable for potential development. And, you know, it's kind of an added bonus to have the farmland protection, I think, as part of that. There is also, under the conservation easement, a conservation plan that's required for the farmer to establish with the Dutchess County Soil and Water Conservation District that establishes a set of best management practices that they can, you know, then seek assistance to employ in terms of soil and water conservation in their practices. And I will say, in conversation with this farmer, they do seem to be incredibly environment sustainability focused in their practices, and the next generation is definitely focused on that as well.
And do you pursue the owners of particular properties, or do they have to approach you?
They approach us. We don't really make a practice of cold calling landowners, only because we don't want them to feel like we're sitting around looking at their properties on a map
Right.
and targeting them. But we mostly, it's a lot of word of mouth, especially for farmland protection. You know, people talk to each other and say, you know, I've just done an easement. And then other, you know, connections often come from board members who know folks in the community.
Great.
Yeah.
There's a polo operation on this parcel. Would this affect that at all?
So it would be, you can see the polo field here, it would be encompassed by the, you know, part of the conservation easement, but I mean, it would be permitted to continue as long as the landowner allowed that. Wouldn't be a prohibited use under the easement.
Are there any other questions?
No, it's good.
No.
Okay,
Okay, thank
great.
you.
Thank you so much.
Public comment?
I have one. Just following up with the town board, I did previously circulate, but we received from Brian House on 18 Depot Hill Road. He is indicating that he's in support of the Phase 1 of the overall master plan, which addresses the property at Amenia Town Hall. Specifically, he's calling this plan the Amenia Green. The proposal addresses the field next to the town hall, in which frequently unusable due to the local water table. It includes the pavilion and the lawn area for the public gatherings and a walking path and the entire field. It also addresses improvements for the playground area with an addition of the splash pad for the community. Finally, addresses parking at the town hall by seeking improvements to allow greater access to the town hall for programs specifically for seniors. This plan addresses activities for multiple ages, ranges in the community. This plan has my support. So, Brian, we have received and acknowledged receipt of your public comment.
Is there any other public comment? Town clerk report? Moving right along.
Really, no one? Okay, so we're going to do some housekeeping matters, and it's for our minutes for this year. So the first set of minutes I have is, that has been previously, they've all been previously circulated and reviewed by town board members. We're just going through the housekeeping part of it
Question,
here.
Dawn?
Yeah.
I had comments on the first three very minor ones.
Go ahead.
We don't need to, do you want me to give them to you now?
Yep, and then that way everybody hears them.
Okay, on the 6th, whoa, my pen's exploding. On the 6th of April, at the very end of the,
March 2nd?
no, I didn't go that far back. I started on the 6th of April, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, at the end of the first page, it just ends, announced the, and it doesn't finish a sentence.
Here we go. Community events.
Oh, okay, that wasn't on the one I had, but okay.
Yep.
Great. Vicki probably caught that already. On the 20th of April, in public comment, talking about Frank Spano, I think we're actually talking about the foot of the driveway rather than the head of the driveway. The parking lot is at the bottom. In the rec report on the 20th of April, there was two things. One was that the Luther Barn actually said Luther Bard, although Vicki may have caught
That
that.
N in there, yep.
And then at the end of the rec report, it said that rec wanted to use cell town
Tower.
funds, but that's cell tower funds.
Got it.
And the 4th of May, page 5 at the top, bond council, I think it's spelled C-O-N-S-E-L rather than C-I-L.
I believe that to be true.
SEL.
Yeah, but remember, every time it does it to us. God.
I know
God.
AutoCheck does,
It doesn't take it,
correct does some
yes.
really weird things, but, okay, that was it.
Thank you. Spell check is great, but it doesn't get the wrong one. Okay. So we got March 2nd. No Supervisor Prodi, no Councilman Gutierrez, if that helps at all.
That would.
You were absent as well as Councilman Gutierrez. We're absent for this meeting minutes. So I'm looking for approval of March 2nd.
You and I were both out.
Turn around, no.
Well, I wasn't there. I mean, or I didn't read them yet, so I guess I should not, I mean, I would have to vote no, so you want me to read them now? All these people are sitting in the audience? Okay, different pen.
This is the one that we sent back that Vicki made the.
Oh, then I did read it, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
didn't
'cause I
realize
sent it
that's what we're
twice.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fine.
I'll make a motion
Thank
that we
you,
approve the
Doyle.
March 2nd, 2023 minutes
Second.
as,
Brad, is that you?
I'll take
Right.
that one.
Okay. Supervisor Prodi,
Abstain?
Councilpersons Doyle,
yes.
Gutierrez,
Abstain.
Blackman.
Yes.
Revillard.
Yes.
March 16. Do you want?
I'll make a motion that we approve the March 16th, 2023 minutes.
I'll second.
Deal. Supervisor Prodi,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Revillard,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Abstain.
April 6th.
I didn't get that far.
I'll make a motion to approve
read
the
the
minutes.
Oh, wait, I
for
did.
April 6th
Doyle.
As
Damien, thank you, Damien.
as amended.
This was even funnier.
Second?
Oh, yeah, I'll second that.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Revelar.
Yes.
April 20.
I'll move that we approve the April 20th, 2023 minutes
As amended?
Yeah, 'cause
as
he made the
amended
changes.
tonight. Correct.
Second.
Thank you, Damien. He's on it. Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle.
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Revelar.
Yes.
May 4th.
I would move to accept those.
Second.
Damien. Supervisor Perotti.
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle.
Abstain?
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
May 18.
I move that we accept those minutes.
Second.
Leo. Damien. Supervisor Perotti.
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle.
Abstain?
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
25th, May 25th.
Move to accept the minutes as presented.
I was absent at that one, wasn't I?
You were.
Yeah,
Very
okay.
good.
Yeah, okay.
Second.
Perotti. Supervisor Perotti.
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle.
Abstain?
Revelard.
Yes.
Blackman.
Abstain.
Gutierrez.
Abstain.
June 1.
I move that we accept those minutes.
I'll do it. Don't worry, I know.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti.
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle.
Abstain?
Gutierrez.
Abstain.
Blackman.
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
June 15th.
I move that we accept those minutes.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti.
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle.
Abstain?
Blackman.
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll explain later. To know. Okay. And continuing in with our tax collector, last time for this year for property taxes, just so the board is aware that the town has been satisfied, $3,693,960.49, with the county being satisfied in the amount of $3,043,300. The town has been provided our late fees in the amount of $24,354.08, as well as the mailing fees totaling $224, closing out our account for the tax collector of this season. For the local share remitted to the supervisor for the month of June of 2023, $186.75. Total collected for total county, state, and local share was $221.25. And that's all I have on business in the office. Was the board prepared to make any appointments from any of the interviews earlier today, or are we going to go ahead and table that all to the next meeting?
I think we could, I could make a motion that we appoint Jim Morris as an alternate to the zoning board.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
Great, thank you. That'll conclude the town clerk's report.
Recreation Commission report.
Good evening, everybody. Miss Katie, we made sure that Miss Katie gets a night off every now and then, so I'm down here this week for the Recreation Commission. I want to apologize for not being here 3 weeks ago, and instead you had to endure my relentless emails the past 3 weeks about trying to get you guys to consider the Amenia Green. But before we get into that, I just want to go over some things we got coming up. Actually, first off, I want to thank all of you for working with us and getting the soccer goals down at Wassaic Park. They've been going down there and painting the lines on a regular basis a couple times a week. I hear that the kids are starting to use them, so we appreciate, the Rec Commission appreciates that, your support very much on that. It was a great thing to set up for Wassaic. We also have a bathroom down there. In the time that it's been down there at Porta-John, it has not been vandalized, which is a good thing, because in the past that was always a problem down at Wassaic Park. But the community appears to be taking a concentrated effort in looking out for the recreation items down there, so it seems to be a thing of the past, which we're very excited about. All right, something the rec director has been working very hard on in collaboration with Weebatuck Little League is this Saturday from 11 to 2 at Beekman Park. There will be an ice cream sundae bar, face painting, bounce house, hula hoop contest, with prizes and more. That is the first annual Family Fun Day that's going to be going on every July going forward down at Beekman Park. That is on Saturday from 11 to 2. And the other great thing that we got coming up is this coming Monday is our first night of music from 6 to 8 p.m. That will be a local band in the area that are called 5 Day Nights. Think Grateful Dead meets jazz. They've been around for the past 10 years. They're a very excellent band. You'll get up and you'll be dancing your feet off. So we're very excited for that to be started. You know, that's the first night of our 6 weeks of 6 weeks of music series, and that culminates on August the 14th. We have reached out to the Dutchess County Sheriffs to provide an extra detail for August 14th because we expect a larger crowd than normal that's going to show up for the first 5 weeks. That band tours in Europe. It tours across the United States. The Rec Commission put a little bit of effort in securing that band. That is one of the reasons that we have not announced the name of that band, is because we don't want 10,000 people in the field down there on a Monday night. So that will not be announced for at least another week or two. All right, so back to what I had been emailing you guys about. You guys have expressed some concerns about our Amenia Green concept. We had a very well-attended public presentation, 4 weeks ago now. I've given you guys the drawings that we gave to the town, or presented to the town. I think we had roughly 20 to 22 people in attendance. Everybody was very supportive of the concept. And social media people have been supportive, passing people in person, they have been supportive. I understand there's some concerns from the town board about moving forward on this concept. One thing that has been brought up is Wassaic. Wassaic is going to take it some time before we can move forward, because we're currently working with, the town board is currently working with the Housatonic Valley Association to create the local flood analysis, the LFA, which the Recreation Commission has been working with Housatonic Valley Association to get them some endorsement letters so we can get this grant. That analysis is going to take a good 2 years. And before we can really move forward on any kind of recreation stuff down there, that analysis has to be complete. So that's kind of what brought us to bring the Amenia Green concept to phase 1. And then other members of the town board asked about Beekman Park. Well, okay, we can do 2 things at once. We can work on the Amenia Green concept and we can work on Beekman Park at the same time. There's 2 different grant funding sources for both of those. The supervisor has shared with us a grant funding for baseball fields recently that we will be pursuing for Beekman Park. And we would like to be able to apply by July 28th to go to the next step for the Amenia Green concept. This is going to be a long process. This is not something that's going to happen next year. We've got to go out and get engineering done. We've got to get environmental reviews done. We've got to get permitting processes to go through. This waterway back here is actually controlled by the U.S. Army of Engineers, not even DEC. We have to go through them first before we even get to DEC. So that's why we're asking you guys to at least approve our concept, because we can't even go out to get grants for the engineering aspect, which we expect to cost between $50,000 to $80,000 without your approval. We had the community support, but if we don't have the town board approval, then we can't even apply for the grants. So that's why it was important for us to try to apply for those grants this year by July 28th. That's why we were pushing you guys so hard. Some of you have asked about, well, is that going to just be a field out there? Well, it's going to be more than just a field. Currently, we can't use the field at all because it's flooded all the time. We feel like that we've come up with a plan that the engineers can work with that will redirect the water into an area that isn't affecting anybody, and we can use the field for not only play, but we can use it to create a walking path for seniors. We can create a pavilion down there to hold our music concert series, where we could have our summer camp could come back and could use that field and could use the pavilion. We could start having town gatherings. We could rent the pavilion out to residents who want to have a party in the center of town. There's multiple uses for that field other than it just being a passive wet field. We also addressed the biggest request whenever we did our survey last year from the community was a water feature. Everybody asked for a swimming pool. We're a small town. We don't have the maintenance personnel. We don't have the capital to build a $5 million swimming pool and then maintain it for the next 20 years. Something that's really popular nowadays is a splash pad zone. It's easy to maintain. It's not that expensive to build. So that's why we've included that into our plan at the backside of the town hall. Another thing that we heard from residents is seniors say that the parking lot down below it's too difficult for them to come up to the town hall itself for the plans or for the programs that our rec director has been putting together. So that's why we kind of tackled trying to improve the parking around the town hall. We're trying to hit multiple age groups with this plan, from 2 years old all the way up to 90-year-old. So we implore you to reconsider not having this on your agenda tonight. Please take a vote. Even if you guys say no, fine, you say no. We go back to the drawing board and we try to find a way to make you guys happy. But we think we have a good, solid plan.
Paul, I have a question. So I think you guys have done a great job. I'm supportive of the plan. What exactly do you need to move forward with grant
We just need
approvals?
approval of the town board.
But are we talking like a letter from
We just need a
Councilman Damian
resolution
or
from
something?
you
'Cause
guys,
I'll write
a
that.
letter or whatever saying that you guys approve of the Amenia Green concept, right? Because that's whenever, if you go to the New York State CFA consolidated funding application, it says that you need a letter from your town board
Okay.
saying that.
So we need to vote to authorize the supervisor to draft a letter that says you can
Pretty
go.
much, that's it. And then all we
Use in
do
support
with
of
that
grant.
letter is we go in and we apply for a grant.
Right.
We're not spending any town money yet.
I just want to make that distinction clear to the board here, where it's just, we're just endorsing the concept insofar as they're going to go out and use that to fundraise or to seek grants.
That's all it is.
We're
It's
not
just the
like-
next step in the process.
What, do you have a budget?
We have a rough idea of what we believe it would cost, but we can't get an actual cost until we get engineering done. We believe that this whole thing around here is going to cost anywhere between $600,000 to $800,000 total cost if you did it at prevailing wages. But we also are a community that's considered disadvantaged. And whenever you look at these grants, like at the New York State CFA, you can get up to 80% of your grant funding, right? And
Well,
that would mean
the-
the town would be responsible for
The
20%.
CFA consists of multiple grants.
Yes,
What-
ma'am, but
Which
for-
grant in particular are you
For
looking at?
Parks and Recreation, you can get up to 80% of your project can be covered by grant, up to $4 million. And we expect this to cost between $500,000 to $800,000. And we have also been encouraged by the community at large that they will be doing fundraising and donations to the community, to the town hall or to the town board or whoever, to help support this project. We honestly believe that we can accomplish this between a combination of donations and grants and not cost the taxpayer a single penny other than maintenance in the future. That's where we're at this point. We can't move forward to the next step until we have an engineering report. And then we
Is
can
that
actually
what
give you a
you're-
hard number of what it's going to cost.
Is that what your grant is going to request, is money for engineering? Or are you
It's-
going to go
yes,
for
yes,
the entire
It'll be for the
thing?
engineering and the permitting and the environmental review that will need to be done.
Okay, so your first phase is really the engineering phase, so you know what it's really going to cost?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
what can really be done?
I'm sorry?
And what can really be done and accomplished within that
That is correct.
land around the town hall?
That's correct. because we have to go through the permitting process. We had this idea, we were told by New York State DEC last year that we can raise this lawn by 6 inches, but we don't know until we actually apply for this permit to do this. We have to get the U.S. Army of Engineers to agree to designate the New York State DEC as the lead agency to begin this process. And we also have to get through the wildlife protection review, because we have 2 endangered species that live behind the town hall. We have a timber rattlesnake, and we have the bog turtleneck.
Bog turtles.
Right? Turtle, right? So there's so many steps.
Quick question. So if you apply for a grant and there's a grant match required, you would be proposing that we'd be using rec funds for that grant match?
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So really, we're not really talking about the town diverting any money or spending any, they're going to pursue grants that they would have to cover from their capital budget.
You don't use grant funds for a match.
I'm sorry?
No. Their rec capital fund, cell tower fund.
So say our project, our engineer is going to cost us $60,000. We can get grant funding for 80% of that.
And then
then
they'd
from
pay
the remainder of it, we would cover from our rec savings fund.
But what about all the other things that currently need to be done at our existing parks?
We're going to sit down next Tuesday and start looking at Beekman Park. We've already improved our park down at Watsake just by putting a soccer goal down there.
Yeah, I think this commission has demonstrated that they can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think that's clear.
But what about-
we put $25,000 into Beekman Park last year. We upgraded the fencing. We bought a new pitching machine. We have been improving our parks as we go along.
Yes, you have been. However, there's still a piece of playground equipment at Beekman Park that's not ADA compliant.
That is correct.
And it's damaged and it needs to come out and be replaced.
So
And it was my impression that the bathrooms needed upgrading.
So we had a plan to renovate the concession stand down there with the volunteer who was going to donate his time, and he removed that donation, right? So now
I know, but that would not, we can't do that.
He can't donate his time to do the work?
Well, no, I mean, whoever does the work down there has to have insurance.
Well, they have to have insurance, but they weren't going to charge us the money to build it. So now we have to go back to the drawing board and find out what it's going to cost us to build this at a prevailing wage.
Sorry, can I interrupt here? Because maybe I'm the only person that hates sitting at this table during a campaign year, but what you guys are talking about is a different matter and not related to what you're asking
That's
for.
correct. And we are going to address Beekman Park next Tuesday at our rec meeting.
Okay, so I don't see that there's any commitment that the town is making with regard to town funds. I don't see that it's a diversion of the commission's time to pursue this alongside of the other items that they're pursuing. And so I'm supportive, and I'm willing to make that motion later today.
I'd like to ask a few questions before we take a vote. And
I don't think we're ready to even do that yet. Go ahead.
my one question is I understand splash pads are very popular. They are not what I had heard from Wassaic residents as to why, what they're interested in.
What is this?
The splash pad, can it be installed at Beekman Park, or is it required to be here and build new bathrooms and all of that?
No.
Why couldn't it go to Beekman Park where there's already 80 kids in that baseball program
Because
and you're having fun day programs there? I'm looking for where you could put things with less
The driving idea,
impact.
the driving idea of what we're trying to do with recreation is to help the town economically, right? So if
Is
we
that
get-
your mission? Is the town asked you to do economics development for the town, or is it for recreation for kids of all ages?
It's recreation for all ages, but it can also work as if we create these events, these programs in the center of town, we're going to draw residents to the center of town, and eventually they'll get hungry and thirsty and they'll start going to businesses. It's a double give me, so to
Again,
speak.
there's already a playground back there. There's already it's already a space for young children. It's not like it.
But we're going to now add bathrooms and such to
We
an
don't- we
area
don't-
that
we're
is
we're
not necessarily.
It's just an idea, right? We don't have to add bathrooms
Yeah.
there.
So I
The
have two problems with your current plan. One is, we don't know for sure what projects can be done if you're engineering this 6 inches raised and drained lawn out here that currently is unusable. So I think we already have a place for seniors to walk, that's the rail trail. If there were additional recreational activities that I was pretty confident would go in there, you could say, let's put $50,000 into an engineering study and see what else is possible there. But we have constantly come across the reality that wastewater, affordable housing, lots of different things cannot be done with that property in its current state. So what, for $50,000 of engineering
You're never gonna-
investment,
you're never
can
gonna-
you find out what else is available that can be put in
You're
that
never
flood
going to be able
zone?
to use that field for anything other than recreation.
Passive. Are you talking passive?
Like, you could put a volleyball net down there. I mean, we could
Mm-hmm.
go back. I coached the Amenia minors for 10 years in this town, the 7 and 9-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
I had those kids down there 2 nights a week playing in the mud, practicing baseball. I did that for 10 years down there in that field, just because I wanted to send those kids home dirty to their parents, and they loved it. So yeah, we could go back down there to play baseball. That's what that
And we can
field
do the
is.
same thing in Wassaic, right? That's also in a flood zone. And the reality is, we've always played baseball, we've always done basketball, and we've had a playground there. And maybe it floods in 2007, 2009, of course it does. But those playground equipment still stands, nothing was damaged.
And they're rotting away.
And why can't we do
once-
something in Wassaic?
We-
We have to do this fancy raising of this wet field in order to move forward?
They're not
In
proposing that,
Amenia.
Vicki. They're just proposing to seek grant money to get a study done. That's
So
all they're
what
proposing.
I hear
So that they
going
can
door
do
to
that.
door is they're concerned about the fiscal impact to taxpayers. You're already addressing many of those concerns by saying the 80% would be funded by grants and
Grants.
20% would come out of theoretically donations. So theoretically.
No, not donations. They
Or
have their own
say rec
money.
savings.
And that does not come from taxpayer money.
Rec savings account should be used right now to get better facilities for Wassaic residents who have very little for them to do, to walk to, and to,
So-
there's no place in Amenia, in any towns around here, that doesn't offer a pocket park for kids to walk to and play
can't-
on swings
we
and
can't do anything.
slipper slide. Why can't you do it now? I
I'll
mean, you
say-
have money in the savings account, $100,000. You managed to do things at Beekman, you managed to build a playground, and why can't we just,
Paul, may I? Just because I have history with Vicki on this item. So Vicki, you and I did go door to door. We spoke to kids, we spoke to parents in Wassaic, and we presented to this board, God knows when that was,
2020?
2020. We put together a presentation, we passed it off to the rec commission at the time, and the recommendation that we made as the town board to the rec commission at that point was to hire a park planner to develop a master plan for Wassaic Park. So the rec commission has actually done that. That was the first step. And the first item that came out of that from Dodona, I guess it was that that park is basically unbuildable, that there is no way to spend money there because it's all in a floodplain and
But we can do it
That's-
right here. We can do it here for $50,000
I don't know
of
that
just
we- I don't-
engineering, but we can't put a decent slipper slide and a couple of swings for 10-year-olds down in
can't.
Wassaic. We can't do it.
We can't do anything down in Wassaic until the local flood analysis is complete.
Why? We did
Because
it all
it's-
before.
Regulations have changed, right? And we've been trying to do things by the right way, right? And environmental regulations are getting tougher and tougher. We're aware of this. We believe that we can accomplish all of these items within the next 5 to 6 years. It's not like that we're totally putting Wassaic off to the side. These things are going to keep moving forward in a step-by-step process. But we can't. Also, if we put we don't have a place for residents to park to go to Wassaic Park. There's multiple things that need to happen before.
The kids I talked to were on foot, they were walking past the right along the rail trail. I mean, those are the kids who are using it. And they asked for specific things, and I didn't really talk to people who asked for parking lots. They didn't ask for that. I don't know. They didn't ask for flush toilets. They just wanted some swings and some...
When we did our survey last year, the biggest complaint was the lack of parking for Wassaic Park.
Nobody said that to me. They said it was isolated and hard to find.
Isolated, hard to find, and
scary
nowhere to park.
because it's isolated. But
Do you want to resend that to the board just so that there's no doubt about what people asked for in the survey?
yeah, I never saw the survey.
I would have to find them again, but because that was last, October? Did we do that in October? No, we did it in June, I think it was, June or July last year.
I'd love to see it. I think
Okay.
that should be up on the website so people can see what it is that we put into it.
We're probably the most open commission in this town, right? We promote everything out, we put everything out there. We invite the community to all of our, to our rec meetings.
Mm-hmm.
We work very hard to have the community involved and help guide us on what they would want to do.
So you're very close to this deadline, July 28th.
ma'am.
And
That's
you've
why I'm sorry I
said
missed 3
twice verbally that you think it's going to cost between $600,000 to $800,000 to build and $50,000 for engineering. But I haven't seen a breakdown or anything in writing that says we think it's this much and this is how we arrived at
Because
the...
we
Because
cannot-
the question I get door to door is, what is the fiscal impact of all these wonderful things that you have proposed? We have a highway garage, we have a sewer proposed, we have affordable housing, and we have a big rec plan that is going to be coming down the pike. What is the fiscal impact of all of these things?
I think, Vicki, the way you answer that
That's the
question when
question.
you're going door to door is you say that the rec commission is funded separately, not from taxpayer money, but from cell tower, shares of the cell tower revenue. And that's the money that they have to play
See,
with.
that's why we're
it.
never going to get to Wassaic, because it's going to run out.
They have
They have
come before this board-
$100,000
excuse
that they
me,
have
Excuse
not-
me, Vicki.
Spent.
They have come before this board numerous times. They've explained that they've been speaking to landowners there about leasing land for 100 years to move the park, to bring it more into the Hamlet Center. They've come, and it's not like they're not working on those things as well. This is like a mini town version of, but what about her emails? That's what I feel like I'm living through right now. Like, they're asking for permission to go seek some grant funding, and in addition to all the other stuff that they're doing. And it doesn't cost us anything to just write a letter saying we're supportive of this commission's vision. That's it. It doesn't cost us any money, doesn't cause a distraction, doesn't mean that we're never going to get anything in Wassaic. It's just a thing. It's a letter. That's it. We're not making any commitments as a town board to do any of that. So I'm supportive. I will make a motion later this meeting.
Paul? Hi.
Yes, sir.
I'm just watching this. I wish I brought the popcorn, but, so first and foremost, we're at ground zero here. We have a major problem with the drainage.
Yep.
It's been here forever. And this plan has a propensity to fix that. Not only for this land, but all the neighbors which we...
For the neighbors also, that's correct.
Who I've talked to, and this has been an ongoing problem. And it's-
Because I know the Moores specifically.
Yeah.
Their property was impacted dramatically
The
whenever
parking lot.
some parking and a retaining
Yeah.
wall was done.
Yeah.
We actually believe that our plan can help that neighbor. You know, we're not
No, it's
just
all through
about
there.
recreation. We're trying to improve the town
Yeah.
and the betterness for the town overall. We really believe fixing this flooding issue is a good thing. That's why we've been so supportive of the local flood analysis. That's why we went out and got the letters at the county and state level to the Housatonic Valley Association in support of that grant for the local flood analysis in Wassaic. We've been working on Wassaic. It might not be specifically recreation, but we realize that the first thing that needs to be done down in Wassaic is the local flood analysis. So we put our effort into getting those letters of support for that grant.
Okay, I will just, for the record, say that I have a really hard time visualizing the playground for Wassaic, all of the Wassaic residents now being fit between that spit of land between the chapel and the little park with the historic signs and the kiosk. That is a very small piece of land, so I can only think that you're going to have fencing them away from the water, where the water and the retaining wall is dropping off.
So,
And you're going to have fences on both sides. It's going to look like a penitentiary, no?
so the idea is that we've been discussing with the Wassaic project,
Yes.
is that retaining wall comes out and there's actual steps going down to the water's edge. And that becomes a part of that playground park.
So
And
do you have lifeguards and stuff? How does that work?
You wouldn't need lifeguards for public water access,
Okay.
not that I'm aware of. I mean, you can, people
I
go
don't
to
know.
streams
I
all
don't
the
know.
time. As far as I know, you don't need, lifeguards to have steps
Okay.
I
that
don't,
go out into the water. I could be incorrect.
you guys have not presented any plan to this board
For Wassaic yet,
regarding
no, because
that Wassaic
we had to wait on the authorization from the town lawyer, and that took a couple months. We got that authorization. We came to the town board, we asked for, well, actually, we ended up, just because we didn't have summer camp this year, we spent the money, the $39.50 from our recreation budget, and we authorized the donor to proceed forward in working with the New York State DEC for the trout fishing destination, and to start working with Pauling Corp. And with Wassaic Project to start developing that. That plan is, at least, we're not going to be ready to present it to the public at least until September or October. There's multiple things that have to happen, because now we're negotiating and working with private outside organizations from the town to create the Wassaic aspect of it. We are working on Wassaic. It might not be out here in the public, but we are and have been consistently working on Wassaic. The first thing that I did when I got onto the Rec Commission last May is say, what about Wassaic? Because the biggest complaint I have heard in this community for the past 20 years that I have lived here is that Wassaic is always forgotten. And whether it's been on the Rec Commission or on the Sewer Committee, I have put Wassaic first. So this argument that we're not taking Wassaic into consideration, I think is wrong. Because we've worked really hard to bring more stuff to Wassaic. I wanted to do more, but I realized that because we're in such a floodplain zone, after our landscape architect advised us, don't put any money there because it's going to be a waste.
They left out the enhancement committee.
So we we did put a little money down there. We put the soccer goals down there this year.
Well,
We're constantly trying to improve recreation for the community while we're working on these plans.
The other issue is that the stuff the landscape architect located in Wassaic in terms of recreational stuff was where the highway garage, where the highway garage parking is. So until the highway garage gets built and the highway department moves, that land isn't available, and that is out of the floodplain, actually, for just FYI. And Vicki, my concern for a while was, that we should wait until we see the plans for Wassaic, so we really understand the whole package. I don't think that's unreasonable, but I also think that since we kind of stalled that it doesn't seem unreasonable to me, and since there are grant deadlines, to give them a letter of support so that they can move ahead, because we won't have numbers for any of this until they get a real engineering report. So I also assume, you were concerned, and I've been concerned about sequence too, in terms of what's most important and what we can afford when. And I think that's going to have to come back to the board. So I'm less worried about that. I mean, I've heard people be concerned about parking, thinking that that's not really an issue, or certainly not the most important issue here.
Right.
But I think that there's other stuff in that plan that would be very helpful. And again, we're just giving them an okay to seek grant funds.
Yeah,
So
I would take out any reference to parking. We just gave away 11 parking spaces to our neighboring business. If we thought we were short on parking spaces at the town hall, we shouldn't really have given away 11 spaces.
we didn't do that. That's not a fact.
So we did approve the easement. It
that was
is
the
gone.
plan.
Those 11 spaces are
When
gone.
we looked at parking,
Vicki,
we did it-
excuse me for a second. I'm so
sorry.
sorry. Just to make sure that we have the record clear.
Yep.
We, the town board, had nothing to do with the assignment of those parking spots to a neighboring business. I want to make sure that that is very clear with you.
We
That was
did approve an easement to provide, and that's very clear. We approved an easement to provide parking spaces to Stoneleaf and the town hall parking lot. But
no,
my main question is
We did not, the planning board, the planning board
we
did
did
that.
not vote on providing those
No.
spaces?
No.
Is that true? We did not sign the easement that you came up with?
There's a license agreement which was
Correct.
created based on a site plan approval from the planning board designating those spots, 11 of them.
And we voted on it and we approved it.
This board
Approved it.
approved the licensing of that because
Correct.
otherwise the site plan would be in violation. So
So
it
the
was
town
based
board
upon-
approved it.
No, it was based upon the planning board approval of the site plan.
Correct. So my condition for approving this, if I would vote yes, is that they would absolutely say the town hall, recreation funds do not go into parking spaces for the town hall. Your mission, in my opinion, is to stay focused on providing recreational opportunities.
So
We're within walking distance.
when our senior residents come to us and tell us that they're not
We
coming-
moved the town hall staff parking and put it down below and say staff parking goes there and senior
We
citizens
could- we
have
could- we
5
could- if-
handicapped
if the
spaces.
town hall is willing to do that, we're more than, well, that
I'd
sounds
be,
like a great
that's the
idea.
easiest fix. It'll save us $100,000 right there in retaining walls and all of the infrastructure that is needed to build
No
new
one's talking
parking.
about spending $100,000 on a retaining wall.
And then
Why is this, we are confusing
Parking-
matters.
seems to be a silly use of funds when we don't have basics for Wassaic. We asked for it in 2020, it is now 2023. There's no swing set for a 10-year-old.
I've only been on the commission for 1 year, right? And a lot has changed in the past year that I've been here. You just got to give me a little time. I'm going to get it done.
And some of us have
That's
been
all I
on
can
this
say.
board for over a decade, so there you go. I'll make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to write a letter in support of the rec commission's grant application for the Amenia grant, Amenia Green concept.
I would like to just weigh in for
Go
one
ahead.
moment on this. Grant applications, as we all know, are very particular. I don't know if they require a letter or formal resolution from the town board.
I asked if he needed a letter. He said he needs a letter.
I'm not sure if it's
He doesn't know.
I'm not sure if it's a formal letter or if it's a resolution. I'd have to go back and research the grant again, but I'm not positive.
But the grant requirements and exactly what it's my understanding this grant is for funds in order to obtain an engineering feasibility study based on this landscape architect's plan.
That's correct.
Okay. So it-
On phase 1, or the whole plan.
Just phase 1.
Paul, if you're required to have a resolution, the grant is due on the 22nd. Is anyone helping you with? 28th, I'm sorry. And our next meeting is the 20th.
I know.
So is there,
That's plenty of time.
well,
8 days is plenty of time. I work
Well,
full
to
time.
do it, to do a letter, yeah, or a resolution.
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we could ask for resolution at the next meeting, but I'm concerned about actually doing the grant application. Because even
I
if
would
you
start working, if I get told tonight that something's going to happen on the 20th, I'll start tomorrow morning on it, and my time in between of working my full-time job. You guys know I get up 4:30 every day and go to work? I'll find the time.
I don't know how you do it. Anyway, yeah, I mean, my point was that assuming that we would move ahead with that resolution at the next meeting, that you could get started now, because I think
Yep.
waiting until you get that resolution
That's
is a
correct.
bad idea.
My motion was just for a letter, not for a resolution. So if you need more than a letter, then I will withdraw my motion
Thank you.
until you determine what exactly it is that you need. But, go ahead.
you could
Go ahead.
keep-
What?
Just have them do the resolution.
you could do the motion for authorizing a letter.
Yeah.
All could verify that a letter is all that's needed.
Yeah.
Then we're good. If it's not, and Paul finds out that a resolution is required, then a resolution, if the board wants one to be done, will be prepared for the next meeting, and then we cover all bases.
Well, why would we do anything until we know exactly what we need?
It gives them an opportunity to get started, either way.
I think he can.
Permission to start.
May I? Victoria? I'm confused. I know, it's sad.
I'm restraining myself.
I always like to open things where you can say something that you want to get out.
State your name and business, please.
If I'm correct, and that may not be true,
What?
his initial...
Patrick, what are you speaking about? And introduce yourself, please.
Oh, I'm Patrick Nelligan.
And you're speaking as?
I'm speaking as Patrick Nelligan.
Okay, it's not public comment. I'm sorry.
No, I have a question.
I'll defer to the group here, but
Ask the question, Pat.
ask the question.
Get it over with.
I thought he initially said all he needed was a letter with you supporting whatever that green thing is. That's all he said in the beginning.
Then that's what the motion I made.
Well, I thought it was a motion to proceed to looking for grant money for a certain amount of
In
money.
support of their grant application, a letter.
All he needs is a letter saying you support the concept.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
what.
correct?
That was the motion that.
But
I made.
Patrick, he said that he wasn't sure whether it was a resolution they required, and he's
Or a
going to
letter.
find that out
So he's going to find that out.
instead of a letter.
I'm sure he has a sample of it, right?
What's-
Most grants have samples of what they,
Huh?
most grants have samples letters.
Yes, they do. Okay, can we move on, please? Where are we at?
Well, there's a motion pending.
You were
There's a
motion.
motion pending.
I withdraw
don't think
my
there's a
motion
second.
until,
Presumably, Paul will find the rules and will get back to us when he finds them.
I even have them before I get home tonight.
great.
Yeah, okay, that would be great.
Nobody seconds it. It's not happening.
Sorry, Pat, I thought you were giving a water. Sorry, that's what my confusion. Okay, we're good? Paul's getting back up to the
So,
mic.
yeah, I want to head home, so should I proceed forward on this? Is this town board going to possibly approve a
Clearly,
letter
there's a
or
lot
a
of,
resolution?
there's a lot of emotions, but I mean, if you have a concrete ask from us, whether it's a resolution or a letter,
Or a letter?
then we'll put that to a vote.
Because I don't want to waste I'm a busy man, right? You guys know I do a lot for this community. I have daughters at home that I'm trying to raise. I don't want to waste my time going through this process.
No, I
If it's
think
not-
the issue is just, we don't know, if you need a resolution before the next meeting, I mean, a letter, I'm sure we could vote on now.
Right,
But if you
but
need a resolution.
I'll get it figured out.
Great.
And if it is a resolution, I'll have the application ready to go, and you guys pass that resolution, I'll throw the resolution in there, and we'll apply for the grant.
Love it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
There are other committee reports?
I went to the a portion of the last planning board meeting, because I was at the enhancement meeting before that, and they postponed the discussion of Keen Stud Farm, Keen Stud Development, I guess, but they did proceed with the final review of Troutbeck. It was a long meeting, I left before the end, so I don't know for sure whether they took a vote at the end. Do you know that, Dawn?
passed.
It did pass, okay.
Unanimously.
Okay, so Troutbeck got the unanimous approval of the planning board. Thank you. And enhancement, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can rehash some of this, but from the draft letter that we have prepared on June 28th, 7 p.m., the meeting was here regarding the raised park in Wassaic. And I'm going to try to summarize as much as I can. But it's well known that the history of this park dating back to, well, this says World War II or before, where it's always been a place of meeting during different events that happened, throughout history. So a lot of 20 people came, and it was expressed by several people about how different ceremonies, holiday gatherings, etc., were at this place. Let's see. So in general, expressing the historic significance of this area. There was talk about the trees that were removed from the park and how it was always appreciated is a very important part of the Green Park, and it was often a place where the trees were decorated for the holidays, etc. And once again, the trees were removed by the town of Amenia because they were diseased and caused a hazard, or were hazardous. There was talk about making the park more traditionally, or classifying it as a memorial park for veterans. There's been a flag there, it's been maintained by the town. I think the fire company's been maintaining it for years. There's been talk about making it more accessible for physically challenged people to use the park. Let me see what else is here incorporated in the park, about coming up with a more design that for the use of the park and the area, including Gridley Chapel, Borden Park, Furnace Bank Road, and the areas there, how all that coming together can be very confusing, and coming up with a plan that would eventually make that more feasible for safe use. Okay. More of concerns there. A question or a statement that I brought up in the meeting was that the town board agreed to have a title search done on this park, and maybe you can update us on that, to really find out who owns this ground. It seems to be a question. It's been a question for a long time. And in my point of view is that this is twofold. If we want to get funding for this park of any sort, we have to own it. Or finding out who owns it and how we can come up with a plan to make this meet our uses for the town and creating a park. And that's the bulk of it, okay? Thanks.
And we're currently waiting for a contract from the title company so that they can do the title search on the property.
Wow. They're not very interested, I guess.
No,
No,
they're just slow.
We
Just
got,
slow.
we got the, well, it's also the holiday weekend.
Oh, yeah, 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 I
So
forgot about
we
that.
forwarded over the resolution, the official resolution, approving it, and have requested them to
Okay,
get back.
great.
So that's in process.
Good.
I have a report from the Climate Smart Task Force. They met on June 28th here they met on June 28th at 7 p.m. and they're a subcommittee of the CAC, Conservation Advisory Council. They're thinking about trying to do another repair cafe. They did the first on April 22nd for Earth Day, our Earth Day celebration right here in the gym. They'd like to schedule one more of those, and we wondered, is the gym available for a Saturday? That was pretty popular on a Saturday.
I need an email.
Okay, an email
Request, yeah,
from
so I
our
can-
Climate Smart Task Force.
Or if you want to send me an email, and then that way I can talk with
Okay.
Katie, because I don't know what they have planned for rec in there.
Okay. And then they're talking about trying to organize a farmer's market, which would also give them points for, towards their grant. The next grant that they're working on, they already got their $5,000 award, but now they are looking to do even more, and a farmer's market would help with that. The EV charging station grant did get awarded for $82,000 for installing a free EV charging station at the rail trail parking lot on Mechanic Street and Railroad Avenue. But we are waiting for an email from the New York State DEC, which is managing that grant, to let us know what our next steps are. But we were given the official letter saying that we were awarded fully, and there's no match required because we're a disadvantaged community. The community solar, we're going to do another community solar campaign. We did get points for the first one that was run, and Stacy Mantle, the co-coordinator for the Climate Smart Task Force, really reached out and got 10 people signed up for community solar. It's a very easy thing. It actually pays you, even if you're with NYSEG or with Central Hudson. You can get a percentage of like 10% off of your electric bills by just signing up with Community Solar, and that is New York State, NYSERDA, wants to encourage clean energy and to try and incentivize people to help them build solar farms all around New York State. All you have to do is sign up with a program. I signed up with Blue Wave, but there are lots of different solar programs. There are options to do that, and you just have to contact Stacy Mantle or the Climate Smart Task Force in order to give us points, and that would give us a $10,000 grant if we could sign up. I think it's 30 people this time, so it's more people than the last time. We only needed 10. Pollinator Pathways is another program they're working on, but it's just at its infancy with new volunteers being added to the committee. They want to pursue that as well. Thank you.
Resolution number?
Patrick, I think.
Well, Patrick needs to sit down because we're beyond public
He's got a
comment.
committee.
What?
He's got a
It's not
committee.
public comment.
You have a committee report? Okay, go ahead.
He's got a committee report
we're not
for
on
the Water
Well,
District.
yeah, you could just tell me you have a committee report.
Go ahead, Patrick, thank you.
Excuse me, I want to clarify. At the last meeting, you said we would be on the agenda to discuss.
You are on the agenda, it's committee report time.
To discuss our first recommendation we made to the board at that meeting.
Would you like to summarize that recommendation for the public?
Pardon me?
Would you like to summarize that recommendation for the public? I'm happy to.
Sure. You want to do it?
You should do it, it was well written.
Oh, no, go ahead then if it's well. Basically, we're recommending that particularly in the water district, I'm the secretary of the water district committee. Katie is the chairman. Bill is, he's like our, he's our,
Vice
when we need him.
Deputy
The
chair.
hammerman. We feel, since the committee was reconstituted, that some of the procedures you go through or don't go through, particularly in terms of the water district, because it is a special use district, we believe that unless it's like fixing computers or an engineer looking at a leak or two, that the use of professional services for the kinds of projects you're talking about, and I'll go through them quickly, is not a legitimate way to avoid going to public bidding. And we believe that both the community and especially the water district members will benefit from going to public bidding on any project over the limits that the commissioner sets, which is about $35,000 for a project and $20,000 for purchases. We don't care about the purchases. I'll give you the example. On March 30th, you received 3 proposals from SBI, which is Marco D'Antonio's company, the water operator. 3 proposals. One for refurbishing well 5, redrilling and cracking and fracking and making it produce more. The other was, which was it? Oh yeah, that was 51, resolution 51. 52 was the lead and copper line survey proposal he submitted for the total of $481,000. And also the $70,000 proposal he submitted to test the wells on the Sims property on Depot Hill to see if they're usable for the town. It seemed kind of strange that they're all submitted on the same day and that the board considered resolutions for those within 5 days at your next meeting on April 5th, 6 days, April 5th, and we were reconstituted 2 weeks later. According to the town law, any proposals for any proposals for the water operation at all should come to the water committee for recommendation. You don't have to listen to us, but you have to get them to us. It seemed as if, and this is just a feeling we had, if the other members don't feel that way, they can say so, that this was trying to be rushed through. It's close to $600,000 worth of funds. wherever they come from, grants or the budget lines or whatever, it's a lot of money to not send out to bid. The only one that was sent out to bid was the one for the well that came in at, and that's one thing that Marco's company doesn't do. So that could go out to bid, and it came in at $21,000. That one doesn't bother us, except for the fact that Marco sent out for the bids. It seems to me that he's a water operator. He's not a part of town government. If the town board wants to submit a project for public bidding, it should be done by the town board and the town clerk. That's just our opinion. That's part of the recommendation that we made, and we make a recommendation that both of those other projects, we would have, hands down, asked you why you weren't going out to bid on those other two projects.
We didn't accept the proposal.
You didn't accept one of the proposals.
Right.
I'm
We
just-
did not accept the lead and copper inventory.
But you set it up
Either one.
you set it up for resolution for Marco to get the money without ever going out to bid. You did set it up for resolution.
We did not vote on it.
It was tabled, I know, but,
He was seeking grant money to cover that.
We
I
have
think that
grant
was-
money.
Yeah.
well, I understand that.
But I thought you guys did a great job putting the memo together. So just to reference this for my colleagues here, it's a memo dated June 13th, recommendation for competitive bidding. The meat and potatoes of it was just that for water district expenses, purchase contracts involving expenditures of $20,000 or more, or contracts for public works involving expenditures of $35,000 or more should be put out for public bid. Now, we have our own town procurement policy, which we try our best to abide by at all times. But I think that this is a good recommendation for the special district, and I want to thank the committee.
Is it possible to get that in writing? Did you send it just to Damien?
No, he sent it, Dawn Marie
was to all of us?
circulated it to the board on June 15th.
It was at the last meeting, it should have been circulated.
Okay, from the water, okay,
It's recommendation number 1.
okay.
And maybe the only one we do this year, I have no idea, but that's our first recommendation to the board. I'm kidding. Number one. Recommendation number
Okay.
one.
I'm
And
searching.
any other board members have questions, or do you feel that maybe you might rethink the process now, or?
Well, I'm glad there's a water committee because there was really no one to advocate for the water system. There was no one to speak for the people who live in the district, so I'm glad that there's a committee now so that you can have some input.
Agreed.
Go, please, Bill. I'm tired of saying
You're very old, Patrick. I'm Bill Flood. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Water Committee. Just a couple things with the Sims property. I think, did they test the wells yet? Did they do it?
Yes,
Did it pass?
yes.
How many gallons per minute?
I don't have everything off the top of my head,
And we're not, yeah, we.
and we really can't discuss it now.
Okay. The question I have is the cost of getting that water from where the wells are to the existing water tank. We did the subdivision, Sims subdivision 20 years ago, I think roughly 20 years ago when I was on the planning board. Was never approved because he had to do some significant work on the water system in order to get approvals for his subdivision, because the county health department would not allow anyone to drill wells on that property. Then it was about $3 million to update the system that had to be done. There's a 10,000 gallon pressure tank that had to be added, some other piping and so on and so forth that had to be added. The existing system has never worked since the day they put it in. So my question is, who's paying for that system
Paying for what system?
to hook those wells up? And where's that money come from?
I think we were just testing the well.
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay. That's one of the things that we've discussed at the committee meetings. So obviously, we have to I think there has to be a broader picture of what this water company is going to do. You have $100,000 in the bank, you're basically broke. So at this point, there's not a lot of stuff that we can do here, unless we start borrowing money, but I don't know how much money we can borrow as a water company. Not that kind of money. So another thing that we have to look at also is we've asked that if we have the ability to talk to an attorney and to the town engineer. That's two of the things that we brought up. Because there's some questions, legal questions that we have that we can't get answered. So do we expand the water district? That's another question that we brought up. Another thing that we brought up, that maybe the town should start looking at that, expanding the water district to get more income down the road and more water. Obviously, we have a lot of water here, but not where we need it. So there's other wells that are close by that we could tap into as well. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, Patrick's going to.
Sorry, I'm confused. You approved the $70,000 resolution to test the wells.
Correct.
So why can't we discuss it?
Just discuss what?
What's going on with it?
Well, we
Victoria
decided,
said she can't discuss it. Sir? Why can't
Ian?
you discuss it?
I was just talking to
Oh,
the reason for testing the well is because I forget what the head house is called that's in the
pump
you know,
house?
the pump house that's underwater basically.
Yeah.
no, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
I live there and it's never been underwater.
Okay, we have
I know, I saw the engineer's report.
okay, so
we won't go through
we're
that.
acting on the guidance of the town engineer.
You're trying to get
because
more water for the town, that's fine.
None of us are engineers here. So upon guidance from the town engineer and consultation with the water operator,
Yeah.
we determined that it was in the best interest of the water system to search for an additional well.
Okay,
And so the
agreed.
$70,000 was to test a possibility.
Have they done the 72-hour water tests? Pump tests?
I don't have that, I don't know offhand.
Anybody aware? Have you gotten the environmental analysis phase 1 report? That's the first thing you have to
Yes.
do to see if it's contaminated.
What's up?
Have you gotten that?
I don't know if we have it yet.
I don't know if we have it yet. We just,
Okay.
We approved the work, but I don't know.
I know you approved the
We
work.
haven't been
That's the
updated on
problem
that.
we have.
Right, but we haven't been updated on where they are in terms of finishing the.
So you could still do something about that if you decided to go back, take a look, and maybe set it out to bid. Thanks for listening.
Resolution number?
79.
just a quick point of discussion before we go here, please, if I may. I am an adjoining property to this property in question. I should abstain from this vote.
Which resolution are we talking about?
First
The DLC.
On the first one?
I'm
You're
assuming-
adjoining, then you should
My gut says I
abstain.
shall abstain. I will. 79. I'm going to read it since I'm not going to vote?
No.
You should not read it.
We don't want any conflict here. I'm reading it. Endorsing Dutchess Land Conservancy Laurelbrook Farm application for Round 19 Farmland Protection Implementation Grant as administered by the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. Whereas the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets has released a request for proposals for Round 19 of the Farmland Protection Implementation Grants Program. Whereas this round of the SPIG program authorizes a not-for-profit conservation organization, such as the Dutchess Land Conservancy in this case, to submit an application for financial assistance in purchasing development rights. Whereas the Dutchess Land Conservancy proposes to place a conservation easement on the Laurelbrook Farm property at the following locations. 1, 173-279 Amenia Union Road, parcel number 72660034030, currently owned by Michael S. Levin and Lauren D. Sigornzak, and 2, 103 Leedsville Road, parcel number 726600165-686, currently owned by Michael S. Levin. And 3 Leedsville Road, parcel number 726600, 505695, currently owned by Michael S. Levin and 10 Mile River Farm. Whereas the FPIG grant program requires that the grantee, the holder of the conservation easement, to be the applicant of the proposal, which is the Dutchess Land Conservancy. And whereas the Dutchess Land Conservancy submitted a proposed farmland protection project summary to the town board, whereas the FPIG grant program requires, among other things, a letter of endorsement by the municipality in which the proposed project is located. Whereas the grant of the conservation easement will restrict development rights to the subject property consistent with the provisions of the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, the recitations above set forth are incorporated in the resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby endorses the Dutchess Land Conservancy SPIG program application for the Laurel Brook Farm. 3, the Town Supervisor and is hereby authorized to execute a letter of endorsement in substantially the same form as annexed hereto. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Abstain.
Blackman,
Yes.
Rebellard.
Yes.
Resolution number 80, resolution authorizing settlement of small claims proceeding commenced by Judson Properties LLC, whereas there is now pending in Poughkeepsie City Court commercial claim part an action for damages commenced by Judson Properties LLC against the Town of Amenia, whereas Judson Properties LLC is seeking damages resulting from an inaccessible and broken water meter. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia believes it is in the best interest of the town to settle this claim in the amount set forth in the complaint. Now therefore be it resolved, 1, that the recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby approves the settlement of the above action and the amount set forth in the complaint. 3, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the attorney to the town to prepare the settlement documentation necessary to effectuate this resolution. 4, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes a supervisor to execute any and all documentation necessary and appropriate to effectuate the terms of this resolution. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second, because I wanted to just say that I'm very pleased that the parties were all able to settle finally. It's going on for a really long time. And I can't remember who in the meeting had the brilliant idea of hiring a plumber other than SEBI. Damien had the brilliant idea of hiring a plumber other than SEBI to do the work. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Mike. And Mike, too, apparently. Other than SEBI, because SEBI said there were OSHA requirements that prevented them from going into the basement. What?
I appreciate the call out, but it's a lot of detail.
That was like 2 sentences, Damien, and no one in the...
Sorry,
Can we
lawyer
finish
is
the
literally
vote
going
and you
like
two?
this.
Oh, really?
Should you-
Oh, okay.
And you two can carry on after?
Thanks.
Supervisor
Sorry,
Perotti?
who's doing
Yes.
What?
We're voting.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Rebellard.
Yes.
Ward. Resolution number 81 of 2023, resolution awarding contract to replace water meter within the Town of Amenia Water District Number 1. Whereas Town of Amenia Water District Number 1 is a water meter which requires the services of a plumber to replace due to its location. Whereas the Town of Amenia Water Operator, SCBI Environmental Services, requested written quotes, excuse me,
Sorry,
You go right ahead,
my bad,
Victoria.
our
I'm
bad,
sorry.
my bad. I started it. Sorry.
requested written quotes from T. Weber Plumbing, Heating and Electric, Lambert Plumbing and Heating, and Elliott Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning Incorporated, and received the following. T. Weber Plumbing, $650. Lambert Plumbing and Heating, $465.44. Elliott Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning Incorporated, $275. Whereas Marco D'Antonio of SCBI has reviewed the quotes provided and has recommended Elliott Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning Incorporated, as they are the lowest responsible quote received and have excellent results from prior work performed. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, pursuant to the recommendation of the town water operator, desires to award a contract to Elliott Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning Incorporated in the amount of $275 in accordance with the proposal annexed here to. Whereas this is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act and therefore not subject to review under seeker. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes a contract to replace the water meter within the Town of Amenia Water District Number 1 to Elliott Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning, Incorporated in the amount of $275. 3, the Town Board hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to execute a contract in accordance with the proposal annexed here to. 4, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the payment for said services to be paid from Transmission Distribution Budget Line Number 83404 000. 5, the Town Supervisor is hereby directed to provide a copy of the contract signed by all parties to the Town Clerk, who shall maintain the same in her files.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman? Revelord?
Yes.
Yes.
Resolution number 82. Resolution authorizing the Recreation Commission to temporarily suspend the town park rules and regulations, whereas the Recreation Commission conducting a summer music series, which will take place on Monday evenings from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on July 10, July 17, July 24, July 31st, August 7th, and August 14, 2023. Whereas the Recreation Commission has previously established rules and regulations for the town parks, which include no alcohol beverages on park property, whereas the Recreation Commission is seeking to suspend prohibiting of alcoholic beverages on park property for the summer music series on the specific dates and time set forth herein. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia has no objection to the Recreation Commission suspending these rules for the summer music series. Now therefore be it resolved, 1, that the recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, that the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the Recreation Commission to temporarily suspend the park rules for the summer music series during the dates and times set forth herein. I make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelord?
Yes.
And under other matters, I'd like to announce that Rebuilding Together Dutchess County has begun their application program. The application period is applications received between June 1st and August 31st, 2023, are for possible consideration of service in 2024. Rebuilding Together Dutchess County staff will review your application and determine if you are qualified for our services. Following qualification for services, you will be contacted by a staff member who will schedule 1 or more appointments at your home to discuss the program with you and look at your home to determine what critical home repairs are needed to help ensure that you are able to live in a safe and healthy home environment. We have all the applications on the table as you come in the front door for anyone who would like to apply for home repairs. Are there any town board comments?
I have a few, actually. Well, actually, it's really under other matters. Let me keep it under other matters. The survey in Wassaic, you already discussed, Ian. The rail trail repairs that we voted on, when do those start, Victoria?
Oh, the bridge?
The bridge, the boardwalk, you
The
were,
boardwalk. Yeah, I actually sent that to the town engineer
okay, oh, great,
because we might need a permit from the DEC.
okay,
Because we actually got 2 bids and they were so far apart. And, I want to make sure we do everything right.
okay, great. And there was one more under, Brad was concerned that we hadn't made any progress on the parking lot. I just wondered what would be the next step to do that?
I have no idea. I know they were supposed to do striping, right?
They're waiting for direction from the board. I know, Leo, you have sent out a couple emails now with regards to a suggestion. There's been no formal direction from the board as to how we need to proceed. So that's a discussion that the board should have, and soon as I know exactly the plan, then we can convey that and we can proceed.
Right, and my suggestion was for signage at the entry as a way to solve that, in addition to them labeling the 11 spaces.
Correct. You sent an email detailing it to the board. I
Can
know
we
that
put
that-
it on the agenda for the next meeting?
Sounds like a
Can we
good
do that?
idea.
Why can't, you
What?
don't want to discuss it now?
It would
Make a
behoove
decision,
us
or you
to-
rather look through whatever?
I can pull up Leo's last email. I just don't know if everybody has it or read it or.
We can put it
wait
on
till
the
next
agenda
time,
for the
Brad,
next
or-
meeting.
What was the?
Let's put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Let's have the
No, I
paper.
can look up the email right now. It's no big deal.
What's up?
You want me to look it up right now? What's the date?
Okay, we can do that.
No?
Either way, I'm just saying that we've not kind of, Brad pointed out in an email that we haven't, given them an answer, or we
It's
haven't
kinda
really.
stalled.
It's sort of stalled,
No.
and he's right. I mean, we should give them responses to what we want. And I don't mind waiting, if that's easier for people. I could talk about it now, but I think, I don't have any
What-
problem
what
with
did-
waiting until next time.
I mean, there have been suggestions among all of you, what do you want to do? I mean, you really need to decide on one plan and then just move forward.
The direction we gave them initially was that they would have to mark their 11 spaces and paint the lines for the rest of the lot. That was an acceptable proposal to some on the board and not acceptable to others. So additional proposals were made to request additional items, and so that's where we landed. But that's where we are.
Right.
So I think we could just have that discussion. and
Sure.
Let's.
Sure. And I had basically suggested that we have a sign at the entry that clarifies what the arrangement is with Stoneleaf. And basically what that was to say what hours and what days Stoneleaf had those 11 spaces reserved, that they were available at all other times for.
That wasn't part of the license agreement, was it?
The
Times?
license
I was
agreement
taking
does
it
have
from the
times and
license
days.
agreement.
Yeah, no, Leo had requested the license agreement, and I had sent it to him, and his email was in accordance with the terms in the license agreement. There are specific times to the parking.
Just because I know the Recreation Committee was concerned about if there's an event, and according to the original agreement, they're supposed to basically park, I think it was 9 to 5. They have those spots from 9 to 5, and only Monday through Friday. So I thought we should have a sign making that clear. And they can mark their 11 spots, but those spots are not held from them. Anyone can park in those spots the rest of the time. I just think there's no way that people understand that in
So
terms
is
of.
everybody agreeable to that, or do you have a different idea?
Let's talk about it. Because he wrote out a detailed proposal for that. Let's print that out. Let's all have it handy and let's talk about it. And then let's just vote. I agree. Let's get it done. We'll do it in 2
What,
weeks.
at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it on the agenda.
Can you prepare a resolution
I think just after the last.
accepting Leo's proposal? Just to have that handy in case we want to take action
Yes,
on that?
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Do we need a resolution or we just need to
I'm
get back?
wondering if we even need a resolution,
We
because
don't
we've
need
already
it.
passed a license agreement.
Yeah, we
It's
just
part of
need
the
to get back
license
to them,
agreement.
right?
We just need
Yeah,
to
we're just
convey what it
ironing out the
is.
details, so
Right.
I don't
Right.
know if we need a resolution for
So,
that.
but,
I think we just need to make a decision and get it off our plate. We've been
Great.
Right.
discussing it for months.
And even if they won't do it, I mean, if they see that as beyond what they agreed to, it certainly seems like the town could do that, because there should be some explanation to people who want to park in that lot when they can do that and when they can't. I mean,
Super.
Okay, is there any other town board comments or other matters?
oh, I did.
Go ahead.
The Garden Club of Amenia is having their garden tour this Saturday. I spent the morning cleaning up the garden, which
Rain
is
or
really
shine?
annoying. I think, it says on the website, which is ameniagardens.com, it's from 11 to 3. You can get, if you don't want to pay with a credit card, you can just give cash at any of the gardens and get whatever the signifier is that lets you into the rest of the
11 to
gardens.
3?
Did I get that wrong?
I thought it was 10 to 2. Maybe I'm
Uh-oh.
wrong.
Well, anyway, people should look, it's on Saturday, this Saturday, and people should look at ameniagardens.org to get the specifics. And there are 6 gardens, and that's the story.
Okay, any other matters or town board comments?
I have a couple of updates on the grants that I've been involved in. One is that we received the grant for $3,000 that I helped apply. I applied for, and you guys approved. It's for 4 theater, dance, arts workshops for Weebatuck students this in December, and it would be for a performance as well. The students would have a free opportunity to work with Vandiver Caravan dance troupe instructors who would come to the town hall and work in our auditorium in December, mid-December, and they would have a series of 4 workshops helping them learn part of a segment of their performance called Into the Light of the, that would be Arm of the Sea Theater, is like life-size puppets and performers, and has original music. It's a very well-known company that's been performing over in Ulster County, but also in Beacon and other city school districts. They've been working with the Vandiver Caravan to incorporate community participants and students into this particular production, and it would be held free of charge thanks to this $3,000 grant. There is a contract that I've got to work with Arm of the Sea Theater to amend, because many of the requirements that they have don't fit our theater. I think they can do it, and I think they're happy to work with us, but I have to cross out many items that they require us to theoretically
So
provide.
there's no final one for me to sign yet?
No, I haven't actually talked to them because about the specifics, because I want to talk to John Nowak, our facilities manager, and make sure that he and I agree what can and can't be offered, and I didn't want to do all of that until I knew that we had a $3,000 grant. So right after 4th of July, I learned that we did get the grant. There's another grant that we applied for, that was the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee. Bill Flood's the chair, and we were able to get a grant from the Greenway Conservancy to provide us with some technical assistance. Many of our comprehensive plan group had worked with Tiffany Zazula at the Land Use Law Center at Pace University, and we went there first once we learned that we got the grant for $12,500 cash. That we would be, and that includes $5,000 that we have budgeted in our budget. So they are providing us with $7,500, and we're providing $5,000 plus $2,500 in volunteer work. But they need a few more questions answered, which I'm happy to do before we absolutely get that grant.
Okay.
I think I forwarded it to you, their inquiry. Anyway, I'm sure I can answer their questions. In the meantime,
When did you send it to me?
it was right during 4th of July vacation, so I thought instead of me forgetting about it, at least forward it to myself, so it was at the top of my inbox. Anyway, I'll make sure that you have it, and I'll CC you on the answers to the questions that they had about this. In the meantime, the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee wanted me to approach, and some of us did that work. The Land Use Law Center's Tiffany Zazula has provided us with a proposed scope of work and in an amount not to exceed our grant award. And she and her partner Jessica Backer would be advising us in her proposed scope, and the bulk of the work would be done with the Land Use Center consultant Meg Williams. I forwarded you what
That's from PACE? Oh, great.
Yeah, I mean, that is
That's
probably
wonderful.
the only way we can afford this project. But that's, I'll just mention that the Land Use Law Center, it has extensive experience in managing strategic planning processes with local governments. The center has a quarter of a century experience in developing innovative and practical strategies using the extensive flexible authority that local governments have been delegated by the New York State legislators. So this is really their thing. They're top in the country for land use law, environmental law, and we're expecting that that will be something that the town board will approve. You can look at the draft scope of work that they proposed and let me know if we need to tweak it. I do need to find out that Dutchess County Planning and Development is willing to help us with updating the demographics and the statistics, so, and the mapping. So those three things are not included in the scope of work. I'm hoping that the Dutchess County Planning and Development will do that for free as they have in the past. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, I have a correction. Damien just pointed out to me that the Amenia Garden tour is actually from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and my apologies to all the people who are graciously sharing their gardens. And it's $20 for 6 gardens, and if anyone wants more information, to say nothing of accurate information, go to ameniagardens.org. Thank you. Oh, and one last thing. There was back and forth between the board about the wastewater map plan and report, and I wanted to figure out how we're going to come to a decision on that.
I'm in the same place I was last time, which was that I personally don't think it's worth spending the money until we've secured the parcel that the report would be based upon, but that's...
Well, we have terms. I mean, Ian negotiated terms. We have a purchase price. Are you...
No, Ian did not.
We have a term sheet.
I'm sorry, it must have been Brad then. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're about to discuss that.
No,
but
it wasn't Brad
Wasn't me either.
It was Charlie. That's what we're going to discuss.
Yep.
If
Okay.
are we done?
I guess
with what we're doing
we'll
now?
finish with that conversation, and we can have a much more exciting one after we go into executive session.
Okay, I make a motion to go into executive session for proposed acquisition of real property for affordable housing with the town attorney. The town clerk is excused.
Second.
Damien, because she likes to.
You can give it to Brad.
And Supervisor Purdy, you'll be taking the minutes?
Yes, she will.
Thank you. Supervisor Purdy? Yes? I see you waving.
Yes.
Okay, I need a verbal.
I don't know, I have people waving at me going out. I'd have
Councilperson
to be
Doyle?
polite.
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Millard?
Yes.
And the time is 9:01.